Welcome back to Temporally Scripted, and this week we're going to be talking about deepfakes that are taking over, and not the good kind. We're also going to be looking at the woman who drank shitloads of tequila and got a massive 220 grand payoff, which sounds like an ideal holiday. Whether or not we're going to see jet fuel run out and there's going to be carnage all over Liverpool because people can't go on their jet to holidays to the coast of Spain, and various other things. So stick around. There's lots to come in today's episode. But as always, the bit that we've been looking forward to, and clean cut, nice haircut this week, coming in looking fine. Here he is, the man, the myth, the legend, the person that doesn't age. It's Adam Garcia.
It's wonderful to be here, as always. Yeah, happy days.
So deepfakes, not the kind that, you used to find where people had superimposed like a celebrity's head on a body doing certain things as a teenager. Or was that just me? Maybe. Who knows?
Maybe we're slightly different generations.
Yeah.
I just have slightly different browsing history. I don't know.
Possible. Yeah, I'll show you yours if you show me mine. Oh, no,
I think it's your... Anyway, yeah, moving on.
So these deepfakes, obviously AI are getting a hell of a lot better. And I heard an interesting story yesterday, which I'll bring back in shortly, of someone's live experience of deepfakes in a slightly different way. But yeah, there's now a lot of fake politicians, Starmer, Trump, not just UK ones, saying things, doing things, and people are starting to believe that they're real, and it's creating a belief system of like, oh, I saw a thingy say it, Keir Starmer say it on TV or whatever, and people are believing this shit now.
Yeah, which is really scary in all kinds of different ways. So one, it means that you could like genuinely have interference in elections, because it could come from foreign powers. So, we heard about all like the Russian collusion and Russian doing it, and like now they actually could do. They can have a politician do or say anything, use some bot farm and spread that on social media so everyone sees it, and you could literally interfere with election results, which is worrying in many ways. But I think the deeper level here is just as AI gets better and this technology evolves, we're going to get to a point where we're just not going to know what's real and what isn't, because we won't be able to trust it. And like you'll say to your friend, oh, I saw this on Facebook the other day. But then in the back of your head, you're going, oh, did I? Was that actually real? And we're entering this time where it's going to be very, very hard to tell.
Yeah, and I suppose people will believe the versions of speeches, comments that they want to believe. So if you're like really anti-Labour and pro Nigel Farage, you see Starmer say something that's a deepfake version, and it kind of lines up with your rhetoric and your belief system. You're like, yeah, look, that's definitely true. And then if he says something that actually would make you like the person more, or maybe explore his politics more, you're like, oh no, it must be a deepfake. Because humans, like, we just want to justify our behavior, basically. Like, that's what we go through life doing. We try and find reasons and justifications for why we do stuff or why we don't do stuff, so that we can feel like we're not responsible for the decision. It's part of human psychology. So I think that's another massive danger, right? Is you could basically just go and go, oh, that's AI. That's not AI because I quite like it. That's AI, that bit, and then end up getting a whole different perspective.
Yeah, just your whole cognitive bias, and things like subtly being reinforced the whole time. Because if someone's already anti a certain politician or likes a certain other politician, seeing those videos, whether they're fake or not, of them doing something good or bad, it's kind of just slightly reinforcing their views. whether they know it or not, and whether it's true or not. But it's like you're going to go, oh yeah, I saw that, and your brain's going to automatically log it as kind of evidence, I would think.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's not just people, it's situational. I'm sure right now we're seeing a lot of deep fake scenes from the Middle East. Absolutely certain of it, that a lot of this, things where we see things getting exploded or like people kicking off or whatever, is a lot of that can't be trusted. And I spoke to one of my good friends yesterday, and she was in Mexico towards the end of last year. Remember when that cartel leader got killed?
Okay.
And there was loads of riots and stuff, and like setting fire to stuff, and it was quite bad in some areas. But she was actually flying there at the time, and when she got off at the airport, like people, she couldn't get picked up by a grab taxi to go, not a grab, whatever it is out there. Anyway, she couldn't get picked up by a taxi to go to where she was going, and they were looking through like social media to try and see what was going on. And there was like a famous like convenience store in the center of that town on fire, and all of these stuff. But then when she actually got there, it wasn't on fire, and like so it wasn't actually an accurate reflection of what was going on the ground. And in the end, she ended up just getting on a bus with all the locals and traveling by bus to her destination,
and everything was
and
fine.
it was fine.
Right.
So and it was bad, don't get me wrong, in some parts of the country. A bit further north in that province, there was a lot more going on, more centralized to where the cartel actually operate. But the point is still the same. People were creating and sharing artificial intelligence scenes of things going on, people rioting, protesting, whatever else.
Yeah, and I know with places like X, that happens a lot. But the good thing is, because you have like the Ask Grok thing, that does help in some regards. So there'll be a video, and I've seen a few from a harrowing scene from Iran from yesterday. Oh, Grok, is this real? Actually, this video is from 2017, and it shows. It's like, oh, okay. But also, it seems to be able to pull out some of the actual fake stuff as well. But then it's good with some of it, but obviously there's going to come a time where it's not going to be able to tell the difference.
Yeah, particularly if it's the powers that be that are using it, like big media and all of that stuff. Like, a lot of these people are in cahoots anyway, as far as I'm concerned. So, yes, they might be able to detect it if, like, Joe Dick from down the road creates something
It's
with
unfortunate
Sora. Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, Joe, see you next Tuesday, but I think that's probably a little bit too choice for the YouTube algorithm right now. So moving on from using that word, but yeah, I think that is seriously an issue, and I'm sure we see a lot of it already. But also, in the other side, like to suppress information. I don't know if you heard the story last week in the UK, but I think it was one of the countryside places, this woman was like seriously sexually assaulted outside a church by a big group of men, and it was just like suppressed. There was like no news about it, no information about it, nothing coming out.
Right. Do we know anything about this group of men?
Well, there's some demographics about this group of men that
strange how it seems to do that quite often.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know the exact reason for it, but there's clearly some kind of agenda. Is it because they're trying to avoid protests and riots and that kind of, I don't know, that kind of thing? Because I know there's a lot of people in the UK that have certain views, and certain things are happening quite often. And unfortunately, it does seem to be a certain demographic that's often connected to it.
Yeah, and I think part of it is obviously coming from countries where women are generally covered and you don't see any of them, and then coming to somewhere where they're not. And I'm not saying it's everybody, but there's like this uncontrollable angle to the way these things work. I mean, it's an issue. Yeah, it was in Epsom, so and there was a protest about this already since it came out, but the police hid the description of the suspects.
They do
They
it
didn't tell
all the
anybody.
time. And well, and usually that's how you know it's like a certain ethnicity or not, unfortunately, because usually if it's someone who's like white, British, they kind of tell you.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
when
and
it's the
apparently
other way around, not so
they're
much.
still withholding it. So again, it's both sides. Which and the reason I brought that up is because it just shows you how untrustworthy the information sources that we have are already, and to mix more untrustworthiness into it is it's even more of an issue. I mean, like last week, I thought that Jesus had risen because I saw this image of this guy, and he was like
Mhm.
stood above people, healing them and stuff, and there was like an America flag behind him, and then I looked again, and I was like, oh wait, that's not Jesus, that's Donald Trump.
Are you sure it's not Jesus?
Wow, I mean, this is the problem. This is the problem with these deep fakes. It's very difficult to tell. So, I rushed downstairs. I got my wife out of like bed, got the kids ready. I was like, "He has risen! He has risen!" and we all rushed to the car to get to the nearest church. And then it hit me that, oh no, that Jesus doesn't have red hair. Like, of course, we don't know what the second coming would look like, but and I was like, wait, I recognize this fellow, and it turns out it was just an innocent mistake, and that actually it was Donald Trump healing the sick as a doctor.
Yeah, and not in any way pretending to be Jesus.
No, because we're all light beings, so we all emit light anyway, right? Us humans are
Right.
really slightly luminous, and I think the AI had just accidentally put this light kind of beaming out of his hands. And there's no
Yeah,
evidence to say Jesus did that either, really, because we don't have there's no footage from the time he was around.
that is very true. It's hard to know what's real or not, especially in books written like thousands of years ago.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that
So
thing with Trump, when I saw it, I was just like, that's hilarious. The guy's just out of control. And I don't know, there's
yes,
always something in the news about him doing something terrible or whatever, but then he always brings this level of humor that I've never seen before. And he's been having rows with like the Pope and things like that. So you can tell he's kind of gone, well, what should I do? I don't know. I'll post on Truth Social, me as Jesus healing the sick. And then afterwards, it's, oh,
yeah.
no, it was a mistake. The AI got it wrong. It was meant to show me as a doctor, not Jesus. So that's why I took it down. It's like, yeah, maybe.
I've noticed he's not shared the prompt
Yeah, he didn't, because we could
because
all
there was a
look at.
yeah, because there was a big scandal with a marketer that I know where he posted this image of a good looking woman for one of his ad campaigns, and then another marketer who happened to look like the AI generated model
Okay.
complained and that created this whole shitstorm of like, he's sexualizing this person that's another marketer to make his own sales and
Oh,
blah blah
wow.
blah. And what he did was he shared the prompt from the chat, so you could see where he said, "I want this," and it was still sexualized, but not
Hmm.
copy this image or copy this person. It was just what AI generated, which is another interesting angle for it. But
Yeah,
Trump
because
obviously didn't share his prompt
he doesn't. And yeah, I
because
guess
it.
I was just going to say, I guess AI would be like that. It's going to make, sometimes it's going to make people, like images of people that resemble actual people quite heavily,
Sure. Yeah, of
like
course,
all
because
the
it's
time.
trained. It's the same way the writing's going to do, right? Um, but yeah, I mean, I guess the reason he won't share that is because it's like cross me being Jesus with Apocalypse Now, and I'm healing people instead of like throwing napalm on them while listening to classic rock, which wasn't called classic rock at the time, of course, because it wasn't classic. But yeah, it's bizarre. Like as much as I will admit, when Trump first came to power, I thought that it was probably the best choice because, like, I think everyone was sick of politicians in general, and I was
Yeah,
very
and
much behind the dude.
what was the alternative? Kamala Harris, which wasn't too great. Um,
She's about as inspiring as Liz Cabbage Trust.
Doug Casey had this thing where he'd call her Kemala. So Kemala in Spanish is like how bad, or like how bad is it? Kamala, Kemala,
Mala.
yeah.
Yeah, nice. But yeah, you know, it's now at the point where even with him, because he keeps bashing the UK at every opportunity, and granted, we do deserve a bit of a bashing, but he's like 8 out of 10 Britons just despise the guy now.
Yeah, apparently, which is quite high. And yeah, I guess he has gone after the UK quite a lot. Also, I mean, when he was running for office, everything was going to be, oh, there's going to be no wars, going to end all wars. Ukraine, I'll end that in 24 hours, and we're not going to be one of these like wartime presidencies. And next thing you know, you have all this stuff going on. The Ukraine war is still raging, and now we have all this problem with Iran that could send the world potentially into like a recession, or could have like a global depression because we can't get oil and different supplies from this place to where it needs to go. And it's yeah. I mean,
Is that
politicians always promise a lot, but
Yeah, it's close to sending like Merseyside and Yorkshire into a depression because the Jet2 holidays are definitely not going to be on this summer.
yeah,
The way it is.
well, this is it.
There's good, you know, there'll be less like drunken fights inside airplane cabins, but
A lot less violence at 35,000 feet. Might be a
maybe
good
more
thing.
violence at home as a result, you know, because people can't go on their ollibobs.
Yeah, so we're off to Weatherspoons instead.
Yeah, although I did see the Chancellor of the Exchequer said we've still got quite a backup of jet fuel, but knowing us, we'll probably sell it all to Europe.
Probably, yeah. Like we did with gold.
Yeah, apart from it's at a high price now, but you know, rather
Yeah.
than waiting for the dip and then selling it all like some kind of deranged crypto investor, you know, sell the dip, sell the dip.
Yeah. Just going back to the Trump thing, I saw a couple of funny things recently where one was you've got all this stuff going on politically, and he's running ads on TV selling Trump watches, like actual get your watch by your favorite president. It's like, yeah. So he's actually flogging watches on TV, and he's been, I don't know, he's like been lobbying or trying to push it through to get a Trump gold commemorative coin made, because usually commemorative coins are made like after a president leaves office or dies or whatever. But Trump's like, no, this needs to happen now because I'm the greatest president in history. It's got to be gold.
You've got to love it. You've got to love it. And I think, you know, it's a crazy old world, and they're all basically charlatans anyway, right? The whole lot of them. So, you know, a part of me does still like him, part of me doesn't. Like, he's just one of these characters that just seems like he's just doing whatever the fuck he wants, and you kind of that you got that's a bit endearing, you know. But he's definitely like the classic boomer. I think all boomers' favorite use of AI is making weird pictures. Like the amount of stuff where you see like boomers sharing pictures of them as like some princess or something, and like it's my feed is full of like random pensioners like making photos of themselves.
Again, we
And I
have a
remember
very
on my-
different search history, so maybe I see different things.
Well, we're old now, man, so it's not about MILFs anymore. It's all about GILFs, you know.
Good times.
The game's changed. Nobody's safe. But yeah, it just goes on to this like, and it segues nicely into this next story, which is UK focused. But 1 in 5 teens now are self-censoring politically. So we've got a chunk of teenagers that have views, as you should have when you're a teenager. It's a time for exploration. Your brain is firing off more neurons than it will ever fire off in its life. And they're holding them back because they feel like they're going to be cancelled, criticized, or shut down. And I think it's because they're scared of like the government coming and taking their Facebook down, and they're so fucking sick of like the immigration situation in the UK, or the lack of proper immigration situation, and the lack of funding, and the terrible leadership in politics, and all of this stuff is just like making them think I can't say anything, and even if I could, what's the fucking point?
Well, yeah, I think was it around. It seems to be around 2020, something like that, I think, where everything just started getting really polarized. So there was no one that seemed to be like in the middle. It had to be one extreme or another. And I think when you have that kind of polarization, it can cause a lot of issues. And so if you go online and say what you really think about someone or something, someone from the other side will come along and tear it down in some hostile way. It could be something to do with that. I think also everything on like the internet is kind of there forever these days. And so you can say something, and because it's happened to various celebrities, they posted something that I don't know, maybe it was funny at the time or something like that, but they posted something in 2014, and then years later they get torn down to it and ripped to shreds. And it's like they're making a joke about something that was acceptable then, but then isn't further forward. And I think there's a bit of that to it as well, maybe.
Yeah, I agree. It's like, if I say this now, is it going to come back up and bite me on the ass, that many years later? But the thing is, I think it's what Ricky Gervais says nails it, right? Getting offended about stuff that people say is a choice. It's your choice to get offended about something. It's like, you don't need to. It's an opinion. Your opinion isn't fact. It's like some people get offended by equality, is what he says. It's like, some people find that offensive. They get offended by equality. Doesn't mean they're right, does it? Like, some people get offended by the idea that we feed everybody in the world and give everybody water. They're like, oh, well, that's not fair. Like, they don't work as hard, or their country's not whatever, right? But that doesn't mean they're right.
Yeah, exactly.
Adolf Hitler got offended by, well, we won't go there, but like, it's not like, oh, well, gotta respect his rights to be offended. It's just not how it works, is it?
There's some good logic in that. I like it.
Logic your way out of that one, ladies and gentlemen. And if you enjoyed that, don't forget, give us a like, a subscribe, tell your friends, tell your nan, get her to send in her AI generated photos to me at my private email address.
Just one thing
I might steal your inheritance.
We've got a new business venture. What I found kind of interesting about this report is it said that 22% of 15 to 17-year-olds have said they've stopped themselves sharing political opinions because they feared criticism. But I mean, the thing is, what kind of political views do you have at that age? What do you even know about politics at that age? And I don't know about you, but when I was in school, we didn't have like politics class. All you understood from politics was what maybe your parents said. There wasn't a lot of political stuff at school. And all you know is maybe some bits and pieces from the news. But you just don't really have enough life experience or anything else or education to really comment on it. We talk about politics all the time, and we don't know what we're talking about.
Exactly.
But at age like 16, we definitely didn't.
No, the only politics I knew about at 16 was spliff politics.
Yeah, right.
That's it, basically. So I don't know about the rest of it, but yeah, even now, I don't particularly like to talk about it. I do like to talk about it, actually. I like to say that I don't like to talk about it, because that's a good position to take. I hate talking about politics.
However, I'll talk about it for the next hour on a podcast.
I hate talking about I hate talking about Epstein and politics and all of these things. Anyway, if you've seen what's happened in the Epstein files, I like to create the fence and then just go from there. But yeah, I mean, I can understand the disillusionment as well. It's like, you know, I think there'll be part of that worrying about talking about it, but also partly not giving a shit. But then the world's changed so much. Like when we were 16, 17, have you ever come across any of these videos that people took of like people leaving high school at the same time we were like leaving high school? So people would take a video camera into school and they started sharing them like online. And
Okay.
it's just such a different world of people laughing, joking, sitting in circles,
Oh,
chatting,
yeah.
playing pranks, throwing balls around, like doing all their stuff. And like now, I think if you go in on the last day of high school,
Everyone's just looking
like,
at the phone. Yeah.
messaging each other. Do you know what I mean? And I think so. I think that, you know, we've created a generation of like absolute mongs.
Maybe. We're radically changing society with this technology that we've brought in. And again, all the technology with social media came in. The governments didn't understand it or just let everything happen anyway because it's big business. And they just said, oh, okay, don't know what happened. But like we covered before, like Meta, Facebook, whatever you want to call it, they knew that this was harmful, basically to people of all ages. And we just kind of went, oh, no, that's fine. Go continue. But I mean, they hid it. Could government see? Anyone probably could if you looked into it deeply enough. Because when these companies are basically, you're going to go on your phone, and on the other end of that phone is like the sort of algorithmic supercomputer that's trained on your brain to keep you there. It's like that's not going to be good. And
it's crazy, right?
It absolutely is. And I guess that was one of the next things we were going to talk about. But apparently, Keir Starmer wants to stop the endless scroll.
Does he want to stop it, or is this Keir Superman Starmer trying his best to keep his weakening grasp on whatever power he has left? Like, what can I do to make it look like I care?
It's like some cartoon where like Wile E. Coyote or some things like slammed into a cliff, and he's like holding like this, trying to stay, and it's like just slowly slipping down.
Yeah, apparently he demanded that all the leaders of social media in the UK came to 10 Downing Street. I think he even posted about it on X.
Yeah. Well, and when are they arriving? So he's going to get
sent them an urgent DM.
I'm sure like Musk and Zuckerberg are going, oh, right, yeah, well, I'd better get on my chat.
Yeah, I'm sure they sent whoever their low grade like person in the UK running the UK side of things along instead in their place. But yeah, I mean, presumably Starmer sent the message by carrier pigeon or something that doesn't involve any scrolling or touching social media. But of course, I am being silly. But yeah, so they've played around with bans, haven't they, for under 16s? But as he's rightly said, and as you rightly said in a more eloquent way than he probably could, it's the mechanisms behind this machine that's the problem. And Starmer says like they need to go. I mean, how do you get rid of the scrolling mechanism? What is it going to be, a clicking mechanism? Like what are you going to do?
Going to go back to print. It's a book, an actual Facebook. The new one gets printed every day.
Yeah, like what? I don't really see.
I think the only way you could do it is like but again, because there's so many users now, I don't know how it would work. But I remember in the old days of Facebook, back in probably like 2007 or 2008, you'd go on it, you'd scroll down, then you're like, oh, I've seen this bit already, because it was just like one feed. But I guess now, because you have so many more users, maybe that wouldn't work so well.
I think it's because you only had 6 friends.
Well, you got 6 friends now and a load of adverts.
The adverts fill out your feed.
Which actually most of it is. Because if I go on Facebook and start scrolling through, I'd say it must be like 60, 70% is just adverts or recommended for you and all that like nonsense, and usually the recommended for you leads to some kind of advert or sign up, or it's
Yeah,
just really dodgy.
even on people's profiles. If you scroll one person's profile, they put adverts on their profile.
Huh.
So when you scroll down, yeah, if you try and read 3 or more of someone's posts, you'll get to an advert. Yeah, I mean, that
That's
is the
insane.
same. Like when you scroll, yeah, you're right. It's a ton of adverts. For me, there's a lot of like gym and fitness stuff on there. But for some reason, the gym and fitness stuff, it's always girls in the gym stuff.
Right.
I don't know
Almost if you've
why.
been like hovering around those videos for
I'm
some
not
time.
got no idea why that is. I mean, I have been working out a lot and doing a lot of looking at gym tips and stuff, but I would have thought there'd be some more blokes on there. But yeah, no, it's just women doing squats and
Strange.
stuff. And I don't even do leg day.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, usually the algorithm's really good at knowing the user, and they kind of know them inside out. And usually they know exactly what to suggest or recommend. It's really strange. Maybe
Mental, isn't it?
maybe complain to Facebook a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, the other thing is, I don't know about you, but I guess obviously they can use ID and all of this other stuff. But for me, if I was a teenager and they tried to ban me from something I enjoyed doing, I'd find a way to do it anyway.
You always do. And at the same time, like, young people today are so much more tech savvy than we were, and so much more tech savvy than like any older generation, because they grew up with it. They're digital natives. And yeah, so if you try and ban them, they're just going to do it somewhere else. I mean, I think some of it as well, it's part of like a bigger plan from Starmer and from the Labour government to bring in digital ID. Because it's like, oh, well, we know the answer. We just need a digital ID. You can get on these sites when you're old enough. We need to prove that it's you. And it'll just be like another another layer of control, basically. And I think that's kind of what they want. And the
Yeah,
more
because
things that
even though we've got chips in the passports now, that's not enough to prove that it's you. You might have you don't have a driving license when you're that age, but you've got a passport with a chip in it. But it's just not quite enough for us to prove that it's you. We need another ID card just to really prove that it's you.
And then
you might be someone else.
You could be. Someone could have stolen your passport. Whereas if you use this digital ID, and it'll start off with like a few things, but eventually I could see it getting to a stage where you need your digital ID for basically everything. For any sort of activity that you're doing anywhere that's online or through an app, you need to be authenticated. And then all of that information is somewhere. So that's a huge amount of information that, say, the UK government or some other organization could have on you.
Yeah, it's mad.
And then if you do something that's out of line, it's like, oh, well, we can just switch that off. And then what do? You can't use your banks, you can't use Facebook, you can't use whatever else. That's the only really bad downside. And I'm sure a lot of this is to try and bring in this digital ID thing, because they've been wanting to do it since like the late 90s. And Tony Blair, who wanted it the most, is still involved in the Labour government, and he's still pulling a few strings here and there.
Yeah, I think at least of all of this, what they could do is if they kids are under like 16 are sick of voting, and they won't. Sorry, kids of 16 they're sick of the government. 8 out of 10 of them not interested. The best way to deal with them and get them interested is to ban social media. Maybe what they should also do is like reduce the legal drinking age down, and these kids can now go and drink in Lidl pubs, which are going to start opening up soon.
Yeah, which is another brilliant segue.
Do you know what? Constructed that like an absolute master. But yeah, Lidl have started constructing their first pub, presumably so that when you see the price of your groceries and you want to cry, you can go and drink yourself so that you forget about it with a 4 can of like 60 pence a can lager.
which Lidl used to be I don't know how expensive it is now, but I remember in the old days, I go and do like my food shopping in Lidl, and it's like, oh, my, get some beers or whatever else. You're like, oh, that's cheap. That's
Yeah. I'd love a 4-pack of Coldsberg or some Hackenens.
Grafenwalder or something like that, I think it was.
That was a good beer. Yeah. I mean, it's a German supermarket, right? So the beers are going to be decent, but like you normally get sort of semi knockoff brands, don't you, with a slightly weird name or something.
Yeah, and you have that weird like middle section in Lidl as well, where it's just like loads of random stuff. It's like, oh, well, what could I get? Oh, I could get like a pump for my car tires. I could get like a weird hat or something. And then just like, oh, we've got some power tools as well. That's not a brand I've heard of.
I've been the proud owner of a Lidl chainsaw.
Oh, nice.
In the past. I also got a fruit picker from there, you know, like a big long telescopic pole with a net on the thing on the end.
Right.
From Lidl.
What for?
Scrumping.
Oh, right. Okay. I thought it was just because it was cheap and you thought, oh, that'll come in handy one day.
No, I had an apple and a pear tree in my back garden when I lived in Nottingham. Nice. So I used to use it to extract pears from the higher branches.
It's pretty classy. No one else around there would have had one of those.
This is it. So unfortunately, Lidl was going to open 50 new UK stores, but the pub's just a one-off. And the reason for it is just the licensing circumstances. So it's not quite as cool as it seems. Yeah,
because it's Northern Ireland's got really strict licensing rules, hasn't it? So, so what they've kind of done is, because they wouldn't be able to sell it in store, they've kind of like put a kind of pub next door, and so they can sell it there. So I don't know exactly what this pub's going to be like, but in Spain, when you go to like a supermarket, often they're in like a big sort of shopping center or something like that. Not necessarily massive, but you'd have like a few stores and you've got like the supermarket. But then you have like a load of like cafes and bars and all that kind of stuff. And it makes shopping so much better, because I find supermarket shopping unbelievably stressful. But it's so much nicer if you just go have like a beer and a little bit of tapas, and then you're like, yeah, I feel okay now. And then go do your shopping. It's great.
See, this is why Europeans have so much of it figured out more than, you know, UK and other places. Like the French, for example, in August, they just all fuck off on holiday for a month.
Yeah, they have a pretty good life.
We're done for a month, and we only work 35 hours a week the rest of the year anyway. Don't try and contact me in August. I'm going on holiday. Yeah. All right.
I think a lot of those European countries, though, sort of like France, Spain, Italy, they're a lot more geared towards like taking your time in life and not being too stressed out. And that's why they have so much of that kind of cafe culture and things like that going on, where it's just sort of, okay, well, I've got to go to the bank, and I've got to go here. All right, well, I'll just stop for like a coffee somewhere first, relax, have a smoke. And, and it's like everything's done in this sort of more chilled way. And Spain's massively like that. People love it. And I mean, not so much now, but even before work in the slightly more olden days, only going back like 20 years or something, people would often like go to the bar just before work and like then go to do whatever job they're doing.
Encouraged and relaxed alcoholism. You've got to love that. Yeah, it's a fucking mystery to me why the migrants go through Spain and Paris and France and want to go to the UK. Like, why would you want to? Why? I think stay there. It's so much better. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Oh yeah, let's go where they work harder and it's colder and there's like the system's even more shit and the food's not as good. But let's go there. That would be great.
But they pay way more in benefits.
True, that is true.
And that's the only reason. And I think also some of those countries like France, they kind of, in a way, kind of push people through and sort of encourage them to go through France to the shore and across. Yeah.
Get over there. Yeah, it's mad. Like back to that though. I remember when I was in my teens, we used to go and visit one of my mum's really good friends, pretty much like family to us, in Bordeaux, in the south of France.
Oh,
And one
nice.
day, one of their friends came around. I think his name was like Jean-Philippe or something, and he was a gendarme, so like a police dude.
Mhm.
So he comes in, sits down at the table. Brings in some homemade sangria he's made, which I know is Spanish, but he's south of France, so he made a big batch of sangria. Gets his gun off his side, puts it on the table, and sits down drinking sangria. I'm having a glass of it as well. I'm like 14 or whatever.
I thought you were going to say
Sat
starts
around.
playing Russian roulette.
Yeah, he's just like, yeah. So he drops it on the table, drinks like a few sangrias, sits for about an hour and a half, and then his radio is like, he's like, oh yeah, all right, cool. Allez. He's like, puts his gun back on, goes back, gets in the car, goes back to work. He's like mid-shift.
Good
What a
times.
legend. What an absolute ledge. So, you know,
It's
I
a
think
good
that's
life.
exactly. Yeah. But anyway, moving on. So these Chinese people will take anything through airports, won't they? Have you ever seen that show about Australian immigration, where people are coming up and they're usually Chinese or Vietnamese, and they go, "Oh, have you got anything in your bag? You're not supposed to have anything on this list." And they're like, "No, nothing in there, mate." It's like, "Are you sure?" "Yeah, no, nothing in there, nothing in there." It's like, really? Because if you tell me now, I'll just take them off you. If you don't tell me, you're going to get deported and we're not going to let you in. No, there's nothing in there at all. Okay, cool. Open the bag and there's like 50 duck beaks or something.
Or open the bag, and what's in the bag? Everything from that list that it said not to bring in.
Yeah, 2 dead baby tigers or something. Oh, I'm not allowed those. Oh, I didn't realize. It's like they're on the list. Anyway, so some dude, Chinese dude, has just been jailed for a year and fined 1 million Kenyan shillings, which is about 8 grand, for smuggling ants.
Which it's something I'd never heard of before. I'd never heard of people actually smuggling ants, but yeah, apparently he was found with like nearly 2,000 garden ants stored in specialized tubes, plus another 300 ants in tissue roll.
Yeah, and apparently it's not just then. So in 2025, there was another case where a couple of Belgian teenagers were caught with 5,000 ants, which is suggesting a wider trafficking trend. I mean, you can't snort ants, can you? Like, what's the...
You can make, I think they do it here as well. There's certain kinds of ants. They make like ant salt.
I've seen that. I've tried it. Yeah, here in Vietnam. Yeah. But what? Why? I mean, the ants that I had, they were a little bit spicy, the things. But it seems like a bit much. You know, I mean, living here, you can eat ants all the time if you want. Anyway, they're in everything. It's like there's no avoiding eating ants. It's like part of the culture. But
anywhere you move into, you've got like 12 million housemates.
Yeah, weird.
I guess
a really weird story.
For people to be doing it, there must be some reason for it. They must get paid for it, and there must be, I guess, certain kinds of ants that have a really high value.
Wild. Yeah, really strange. So I mean, who knows? I bet he was getting a bit antsy while he was waiting for the verdict.
Hey.
Oh yes, I didn't even write that one before the show.
I can tell.
Off the cuff. Anyway, on to this next one, which could have been a Darwin Award, and I really like this one. So there's a woman in the US who was on a cruise with a company called Carnival, and basically she was served 14 shots of tequila. She drank them, of course, but she was served 14 shots of tequila and drank them all, and as a result she had a serious fall, like proper fucked herself up. Deanna Sanders, her name is, 45-year-old nurse from California.
Lightweight.
And yeah, proper lightweight. I mean, 14 tequilas is nothing. So she had these shots as well between 3 p.m. and nearly 12 p.m.
That's not really that much.
Yeah, now that doesn't seem anywhere near as bad. I thought it was like 14 shots in 14 minutes or something, which, you know,
It might.
Yeah, that would probably finish me off if I'd had 5 or 6 beers already.
It could have been along with other drinks. We don't actually have the full details, but
yeah. So apparently, this is hilarious. By the way, fucking hilarious. So she suffered a concussion, possible traumatic brain injury, and headaches. I mean, do you think the headaches were because of the fall or because of the 14 tequilas? I had a fucking. I drank 14. It's a fucking outrage. I drank 14 tequilas. Like, I had a concussion. Fair. I fell over. But the worst thing, I had a headache.
I just had a splitting headache the next day. I don't know why.
You're taking the fucking piss. Anyway, so she complained. She went to court, as they do for everything in America, and she was awarded $300,000 for Carnival's negligence in serving her the 14 tequilas.
I mean, you have to be kind of responsible for yourself in some ways. You know, it's like I don't think the cruise ship like forced her to drink all these tequilas, like you said, and sometimes you can get drunk. Your brain and balance and everything else isn't working the same. You could have accidents. And it just seems like she's gone, okay, well, what can I get out of this? And just like if someone has a car crash, the first thing they do is go, oh, I think it's got whiplash. You know, so it's like we've added like the concussion, but genuine headaches. Only she would know that. We can't tell. Possible traumatic brain injury. Anytime you get hit in the head, it's going to be possible. And it just seems like a big sort of, they've ramped everything up and then said, give me some money.
Yeah, it's mad. I think like if you drink 14 tequilas, you're gonna have a headache anyway, right? It's like it sort of comes with the territory. But I think, I just don't see that as the barman's responsibility. I mean, I guess there is obviously once you started drinking, you lose some of your inhibitions and stuff. But yeah, is it the barman's responsibility to say something?
I think to an extent, yeah. And I mean, I worked in bars for quite a while, and if someone was just like way too over that line, you're like, yeah, sorry, mate, I'm not allowed to serve you anymore.
No, you're one of those, were you?
Only in like sort of extreme cases, because you kind of you have to be. You have to be like a little bit responsible at times. But yeah, so maybe there's some responsibility, but I would imagine that she would have needed to be in like a pretty bad state, and then not a really bad state, but you can tell when someone's had way too much, and you go like, yeah, sorry, I can't serve you anymore. So I'm guessing for her to keep being served, she must have still been clear, normal, not like massively, oh man, tequila, please. It's like going to be like kind of more okay. And it was over like 9 hours or something like that. So you're averaging about 2 shots an hour. It's not like a huge amount.
What a lightweight.
Yeah, maybe she just needs to get more practice in. That's not medical advice.
You can definitely tell she is not from the UK. Anyway,
definitely
moving on.
Not a Scouser.
She's not Scottish either, for sure. So we've got a really sad story to finish on, which broke my heart when I read it. And then we're going to go into our weekly top fives, which I am more excited than I have ever been. I'm bouncing around over here like a box of frogs about this one.
Or a box of ants.
But yeah, or a box of ants, exactly. But yeah, there's a really sad story that this guy called Tony Cavallero in New York that was cruelly taken away from his emotional support animal, which is his words, when and he's now given up on ever getting it back as well after a long legal battle going right back to 2024. So 2 years of trying to get back his emotional support animal, but unfortunately Albert the alligator is not going back to his house.
which is devastating. So I'm sure it was such a good emotional support animal. And at 12 feet long and only 750 pounds, definitely not a danger to anyone but went near Albert.
No, and he was in an indoor swimming pool, so he was living life and apparently gave really good cuddles.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like we said in the last thing, with like if someone's really drunk, he's like, oh no, you just can't have any more. It's a bad idea. Maybe something like this is also a time when someone needs to step in and say, really, the 12-foot alligator, but is that a good idea? Are you sure?
Yeah, I wonder if he's related to the woman who had the 14 tequilas and they'd gone on the cruise to try and forget about the anguish they were under from losing their emotional support alligator.
And we just had this double whammy of bad news. But yeah, I mean, apparently the state said that Caballero's license had expired in 2021. So he didn't have a license anymore. Why would he need to? Why would he get a license for that? I'm not sure. But then, but at the same time, he'd been letting people apparently pet the alligator and even go in the pool with the alligator, which violated rules for dangerous animals. But I mean, at the same time, Albert apparently is blind in both eyes, had spinal complications, amongst other health issues.
Right. So he was an unhealthy alligator as well.
Yeah. Maybe the eyes were from the chlorine in the pool. I don't know what kind of pool it was.
Amazing. How could you ever rest at night knowing there's an alligator in your swimming pool downstairs? It's like you forget and you just go down. Oh, open the fridge. Look behind you. There's a fucking 12-foot alligator over there. Morning, Albert. Yeah, mate. How's it going? Yeah. Want some meat? Yeah. Cup of tea. Mental.
But
anyway, let's move on.
I was going to say there's loads of like, I can't remember the numbers, but there's an insane amount of people in America that have like pet lions and tigers and like real dangerous animals. It's crazy. And I always just wonder what happens if like someone breaks into one of their houses, like, oh, it looks like a rich person's house, going to be in here, can get loads of money. All right, we're in.
But at least then you can probably sue the homeowner for getting mauled by like their lion or whatever.
You probably could, yeah. Didn't Mike Tyson have like a pet lion? And there's I can't remember if it was. I'm sure it was a lion.
Tiger, I think.
It might have been a tiger, yeah. But there's that photo where it's just him next to his swimming pool in his pants, just with his pet tiger, just chilling out.
I mean, to be fair, Mike Tyson could knock out a tiger, couldn't he? So he's like
Probably
uniquely positioned. And of course, Pablo Escobar's like populated Colombia with hippos because of the sort of animals that he had.
Yeah,
there's now like a massive population of hippos native to Colombia because of his work.
Yeah, apparently they're going to start culling them. At some point soon, because hippos are dangerous. Like.
Yeah, but who'd have thought that, he would become a conservationist?
Yeah, out of many things that he did.
A lot of fertilization of the ground as well, with the people that he put in it. Anyway.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Don't take the Lord's name in vain. Moving on.
But Trump, all right.
Okay. Well, we've descended to the point of chaos, so it must mean that it's time for this week's temporally scripted top fives. Adam, what we got this week?
Yeah, so this week I thought it'd be interesting just to do some top 5 acts of espionage in history, because there's always some like interesting facts and things that happened in the shadowy world of spies, double agents, and forged identities.
I like it.
So the first one today was the Cambridge Five, and this was between the 1930s to 1950s, and it was basically a group of 5 people that were really well connected in the UK, and they were known as Cambridge Five, and they passed secrets to the Soviet Union, including things from World War II and the early Cold War. But it was really unbelievable for people because of how high up some of these people were. So they were in like MI5, MI6, BBC. One of them did something where he was like an advisor to the Queen over art, what art she should buy or sell, and that kind of thing. And she didn't even find out about it until 10 years later, because they kept it secret. But yeah, this was like a huge thing. And eventually, I think the third one of them went to Russia and like left the UK, and then everyone was like, "Oh, so it's real," because it was almost like a sort of it was almost like a conspiracy thing that no one could really believe.
That's crazy. Yeah, and it just shows you at the time, and like the things that the public knew were mostly through the newspapers and a few news stories here and there. Like it was a different world, you know. So if something like that comes out, it's like, really, I couldn't believe that people go to that level, you know. Whereas now we know that everybody's an untrustworthy and scrupulous.
Yeah. And when they get found out, you go like, "Oh yeah, of course."
Yeah, nothing shocks me anymore. Yeah, it's like one of those, isn't it? So
yeah.
What we got up at number 2?
Number 2 is the Zimmerman telegram, and it was an intercept that basically the British intercepted a German diplomatic message. But in that message, the Germans had proposed that Mexico should be allies with Germany if the US enters the war. And so the British took this to the Americans, and this was then in the news, and it helped to massively sway America's point of view and feelings towards the war, and helped to get America into the First World War.
I mean, the timing there is beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
A time when the British were much sneakier and more clever with how they operated.
Yeah.
Right, how can we get these Yanks in the war?
Yeah. But I mean, it was like completely like real, this intercept, and it was like a sort of office or like a group that was known as Room 40. They got really good at intercepting and deciphering German messages, because they found a code book which was recovered after the SMS Magdeburg, I think I'm saying that right, was sunk and recovered. And so, yeah, from that, they were able to decipher these messages, but they wouldn't let on how they knew this. So they had to find different angles to sort of say, "Oh yeah, we just know this. We can't really say how, but it's definitely true." And
that's cool. Is room 40 61 doors down from room 101?
Probably, yeah. That was some fast math on the fly.
It only took me about 90 seconds, my friend. Only took me 90 seconds.
I wondered what you've been doing, writing things down.
Yeah. That was it. It looked like an episode of. It looked like I was on an episode of fucking Countdown or something. Okay, cool. What's at number 3?
Number 3 was a farewell dossier. This was a Cold War leak that exposed a tech theft machine. So this was around 1981 to 1982, from the USSR to France or the West. So a KGB officer, Vladimir Vetrov, who was codenamed Farewell by the French, secretly provided thousands of documents to French intelligence. I think there was around 4,000 of these documents and pictures, and it was all about how the USSR was systematically collecting Western science and technology via a program often referred to as Line X. And so what happened was they found out where, how, and who was involved in all of this. And at one stage, I think 47 Russian diplomats got ejected from France. And it was like a really big thing because you had, at this time, the Cold War, you had all these agents involved in like infiltrating society, universities, like everything, and just stealing technology and secrets. And they'd be in like government and like we said earlier, like they could even be high up in like MI6. We could even have access to royals and all this kind of. It's crazy, but yeah, this actually went on.
Mental stuff, man. Yeah, and it's in a way, it's like it seems cooler, I think, because at the time the world was just not in the place it is now with technology and information and stuff. You know, like it's almost like I don't know what I'm trying. I can't find the right word for it, but there's like a mystique about it. There's a je ne sais quoi about this whole thing. Right, there you go.
Yeah.
That's what I was looking for. Right. What's the number 4?
The
I've
next
done my
one.
sounding clever for that one. Go.
Awesome.
What's next?
The next one is Agent Garbo. So the man who invented a spy network out of thin air. So Garbo was a guy called Juan Pujol Garcia. No relation that I know of, but he became a
Nice.
he became a
Is it
legend.
Juan or Juan?
Juan.
All right then.
But he became a
Is that
legend. He became a legendary double agent. So basically, the Germans thought he was working for them, and it's like, okay, cool. And so they think they've got this guy who's in the UK and he's working for the Germans. And so he said, yeah, sure. But he then made up this huge like network of fictional sub-agents and they had like complete personalities, motives, like backstories, everything. But he just invented this huge network and said to the Germans, oh yeah, I've got this huge network of like spies working for you and they're doing this, this, and this. But all of it was just fictitious. None of these people existed. And he'd take like inspiration from like books, travel brochures, all kinds of things to like make up these like wild people. But it became like deeper because obviously all this information was coming through and it was all trusted. So he could just push this trusted information to the Germans about, oh, they're going to do this is happening, but it was all nonsense. And some of this actually helped in like the planning of D-Day. And it was really funny as well, because so in Germany, they thought, oh, he's like one of the best spies we've ever had. So in Germany, he was awarded an Iron Cross. And then later in Britain, he was awarded an MBE.
What an absolute legend of a man. That's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, I thought so too. But yeah, just had this huge imaginary payroll of, yeah, it was so clever. But again, it's that thing back in World War II, for British especially, just came up with the most diabolically clever plans, I think, of anyone involved.
That's wild, isn't it? Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. What we got next? What's
Well,
the last one?
yeah, which continuing with Britain, I guess, we've talked about this one time before, but I thought I'd include it anyway. Operation Mincemeat. So what happened was they created a fake British intelligence officer. So there was a corpse that they used that they kept on ice for ages, that fitted the description of the person they wanted to create. And so what they did, they dressed him up in like I can't remember, like a naval officer's uniform, and they put lots of different things in his pockets. One of them was a plan that looked genuine, and it was a plan saying that the Allied forces would strike Greece and Sardinia and not Sicily.
Right.
And so then they put this body out in the water and time it perfectly so it washes up on the right place of the shore to be found by German officers, whatever else. They look through the body, they see all this stuff. Oh, right, copy all the plans down, and they put everything back together and then send the body back to the UK because it's like an officer or whatever. So, and pretend that they don't know anything. And so, yeah, obviously the Germans then think, right, they're going to strike Greece and Sardinia. Let's move a load of troops there. Where should we take them from? Oh, here. Yeah, take them off Sicily and move them over here. Of course, what happens next? The Allies go in and strike Sicily.
See, what's even more genius about that is that when the body gets sent back, they know that it's worked as well.
Also, they had like a little, I think it was like a hair or something like that, something that would say that it had been opened, the actual documents. So they knew that the documents had been opened and read. But this guy was like made up, but they'd done like a whole backstory like to this person. And they had someone else like prior to them doing this, they had basically an actor pretending to be this guy. So he'd been seen in public and he'd spoken to different people. And there was just so many clever things with it. And they even, for the ink, they knew that they were going to drop it in water and it'd be suspicious if it was written in waterproof ink. So they went on this huge testing thing, trying to find the best ink that would survive for the right amount of hours to be in the water and then found by the Germans. It's just every single detail. And they even had like loads of just litter in his pockets, like a stub from a theatre ticket, a picture of his wife and all that to make it completely genuine. And
amazing.
It is truly amazing. It's just so smart, so diabolically clever.
And now look at the state of us as a country. No, terrible. Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, as always, for the top fives this week. Guys, if you've enjoyed today's episode, don't forget, like, subscribe, comment, tell us what you think, argue with us, give us some stuff that we can use as ammunition and we can make fun of you next week in our episode. Adam, thank you for joining us, as always.
A pleasure as always. It's always fun.
Absolutely. We'll see you next time, guys. Goodbye.
See you next time, folks.